Hey everyone, it's fall 2022 and it's starting to get chilly out here, and before all the leaves drop off my apple trees, I figured it'd be a good time to go and take a look and see how they did over the summer. So first we're going to check out the 2-year-old seedling trees that are being trained in espalier style, and then we will go and look at the row of oblique cordon. So let's get to it. Before we get to the apple trees, we'll just take a quick peek here at the serviceberry bush. They did finally bear fruit this year, and it was okay, not that flavorful. I think it would be good in kind of a jam. And here's some other plants that I'm growing alongside the apple trees, but we'll just tell you what these are real quick. These are one of the the perennial collards and kales that I planted this year, and I did plant a couple different varieties of those seeds. One was from Chris Hamanek's, and the other, I don't remember the person's name, but it was called the Siberian Kale Mix. So these here are one of those two. I'm guessing these are the Hamanek's variety because they look more like collards than they do the Siberian kales. So I'm pretty happy with those. We'll see how perennial they are, but the winters here are not too harsh, so I'm guessing they'll do great. And here's one of the 2-year-old apple trees, and this was grafted this year. And this blue piece of painter's tape is where it was grafted, and this is a variety called Cherub from Stephen Edholm. He has a YouTube channel called Skill Cult, so check out that. He does a lot with apples and breeding apples and all sorts of stuff. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of new growth here, and next year probably we'll be grafting something else on here and figuring out what to do with these 4 branches down here. I think really what's going to happen is we're going to end up with 2 of those branches. So yeah, this thing was grown from a seed 2 years ago, and then this year it was grafted, and that's what it looks like now. So you can get a lot done in just 2 years, it feels like. We're going to continue on down here and take another look at another one of the espalier style trees. And this one had a lot of growth as well, and I bent this one over and staked it, and I'm going to try to get a new branch coming out somewhere here if I can, or here, to continue kind of what I did with the other one. We've got some more kales down here. Another smaller tree. This one does not have anything grafted onto it. I tried to graft the last piece of wine sap that I had, and that did not work. So next year we'll be grafting this up to something else. And there's another little seedling tree down there. I believe that one has Wixen on it, and that's probably going to go to a friend this year. Before we get to the cordon row, we're going to look at the seedling apples. So if you watched my video this spring, you saw that I planted a bunch of apples from seed, and this is what remains of that project here. So there's a number that have survived, but it was so dry this summer and they didn't really get very big. But I've got some interesting things in here. This one with the red leaves is a Cosmic Crisp seedling, so that might indicate a red fleshed apple, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then these 2 larger ones here, I planted these like maybe February and started to grow them out inside, and those were from an apple that I collected from the wild last year, and it was just sort of like this yellow apple that was sort of flat, like donut shaped. So, and speaking of collecting apples, these are some crab apples that I collected around the neighborhood where I live, and so I'm going to be saving the seeds from these apples and planting these next year. Okay, here we are at the row of cordons, and as you can see, I like to plant lots of different things into the mix here. I've got a little mini rose that I purchased this year and put in, and that's probably going to get pretty big, but it'll add some color. And down here I've got some parsley going, and then the strawberries that I planted all along there are starting to put out lots of runners, so this is going to be all filled in with strawberries by next spring. And depending on the type of apple, there's really quite a difference in the amount of growth here. And I've been starting to put some screen on them because the rabbits are already starting to destroy some of the plants. They actually destroyed all of my G214 rootstock that I had set up to try to grow more rootstocks. But let's just continue on here with the tour. And this one did pretty well. I think this is the one that had the most growth, and this is a variety called Red Devil. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. I did end up losing a couple that I planted here. I think I probably mentioned that in my previous video, that there were some that weren't doing too well, and I went ahead and transplanted some. And I believe this one, Pilot, is one of the trees that I had in that seedling bed, and I didn't move it over. Probably would have been best to wait till later in the season, but I had time now, so that's why I did it that way. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've got. Pretty pleased with the results, and we'll continue to watch this and see what comes of it next year. And this guy here is a white mulberry tree. It's right below the power lines, and the birds like to come up here and drop seeds down. I'm not sure how old this one is. It feels like maybe it's just a year old, but I'm gonna keep this one and try to start shaping it next year. So that'll be the next project, and then probably these hazelnuts over here are gonna have to move somewhere else. And that's all we've got for this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more hacks and builds, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers!